Session 843. Deleted. Good evening. Now, about your dream and drawing. In dreams, you often personify portions of the self and meet them as if for the first time. Your Mrs. Patterson represents your own love for your fellow man and fellow woman. Ram noted with gentle emphasis. She said, and expresses a deep compassion for the situation of your species at this time. Those characteristics are set in the form of an elderly woman whose pace bespeaks wisdom. She has no arms. However, her concern, her love, and understanding are seen only in the expression of her eyes and face. She cannot embrace the world, and so she is honest. Her concern and understanding also have a mental quality, as your own deep feelings in those regards are expressed through art or writing indirectly, rather than through direct contact with others. They are indications of arms beneath the clothing, indications only. For you embrace the world through, say, inner devotions rather than exterior acts. The woman is alone, with many empty rooms behind her, signifying that you set yourself apart from the many worlds of commerce in your day, meaning social commerce, and that such an understanding can also bring loneliness. A certain amount of comparative isolation from the world is necessary if you are to understand man's condition. Yet the woman is not weak, but strong, nor is she unaware of some irony in the situation. Give us a moment. I believe the name Mrs. Patterson counts. Rob said, well, I had called her Mrs. Johnson. I reminded Seth. In trance, leaning forward, Jane started at me, momentarily quiet. She said, then give us another moment. Robert's chain of association gave the name Patterson because of an old song. The Ram noted name. She said Johnson brings in the woman's sense of strength, and yet says that she is of ordinary heritage, a person of the earth, a powerful person in her way, and the connections with your associations have to do with the late President Johnson. Behind all of his carryings on, they are a strong quality of compassion that he found most difficult to express. He was president of your country in trying times. Rambunctious, at times crude in his dealings, but with common roots. In a way, the woman is the other side of that image. Her qualities are the ones you use to govern your psychic lens. She is devoid of possessions of a physical nature, signifying that she does not reach out towards such possessions, but reaches with inner hands for other fruits. The table is the one physical item, representing the domestic reality with which each person must deal. You could not have made the same points to yourself as well had the image been male, because of the beliefs that are ingrained in you. The portrait does represent then a portion of yourself and a portion that understands you quite well, and took that form for your edification. Take a very brief break. Ra said thank you. There is a portion of each person that correlates with the meaning of that image. It was created and interpreted according to your own individuality, but it will also remind others that within themselves they possess, each of them, the wisdom, compassion, and understanding that exists, whether or not it is expressed in usual terms through physical acts. Give us a moment. When a dream gives you such an image, and the image becomes objectified, then you are of course showing a new part of yourself in the physical world, and bringing into expression through your physical hands the emotions that otherwise could not be expressed. Now, dictation. I have just interpreted for Joseph a dream of his, in which he was able to express emotions of a rather profound nature, and I want to stress here that you are above all an expressive species. Your mental world is full of ideas and feelings that surge toward actualization. You have a need to express yourself, and I am repeating the word express quite purposefully. Rob noted with a smile. They said, you must feel that you are a self, and that you can express that self in the world that you know. In closed mental environments, such expression is vigorously denied, and the very foundations of selfhood are attacked. I will use my own definition of a cult here, saying that a cult exists whenever a group forms a closed, emotionally charged mental environment in which the foundations of individuality are systematically and purposefully undermined. In such situations, you are taught that the self you have is not only flawed, but a facade, a fake self that cannot be trusted, and whose expression must be largely denied. You are told to give up the self to the leader of the group, the guru, the master, the father, the authority, by whatever name. Such systems distort the very nature of idealism by placing the ideal in such an exalted position that it can never be attained. For by giving up the self you have, you are to attain instead a wholly pure, wholly loving, idealized spiritual self. This self will love each other fellow being without reservations, distinctions, or judgment. This self is to miraculously appear as the old self is annihilated. The annihilation is accomplished by turning the will over to the authority. To act contrary to your own wishes or inclinations is considered a virtue. You are told not to make decisions and to give yourself completely to the system of the cult. At the same time, there is much discussion about the good of mankind, ideal principles, goodness, charity, and faith. But these are seen as possible only within the group. For the exterior world, you are told, is full of evil and corruption. The group is always pitted against the world, which becomes its enemy. Paranoia reigns. Evidences of the world's corruption are collected, and any proofs of man's good intent begin to fade away. The end is seen as justifying the means. The hope for spiritual heaven on earth, in those terms, is unattainable, of course. The fundamentalist Christian groups, for all of their fanaticism, at least offer some kind of temporary relief for their believers. They are saved through prayer and good works. Many other sects, however, offer no such comfort, as, for example, the Guyana group. The concentration upon self-betrayal and worldly corruption offers no escape. Expression becomes meaningless under such conditions. Not trusting the structure of the self, then the self's expression is denied. It is feared, yet the new self never comes. Not the promised, overly idealized self that feels a godly love without distinctions, and all good works appear meaningless in the terribly exaggerated picture painted of social and world events. The concentration upon self-righteousness and evidence of corruption leads to its own fulfillment, and in that dark light, the expression of the good appears powerless. Such groups frown upon the questioning mind. They stress love of mankind, while at the same time cutting down on strong personal affiliations of a loving nature, so that love itself cannot seek its expression in concrete terms. Yet human love specifies, makes distinctions. It focuses with uncanny brilliance upon one individual. Such groups try to diffuse that new focusing. They preach of love while allowing any given individual to love no particular person, and by forcing each individual to cut any bounds of love previously established. Such people can love no one. All must be pretense. You are given your powers of decision for a reason. You are given the self that you know for a reason. Through fulfilling that self, through following your nature, inclinations, and desires, you will discover a spiritual and psychic fulfillment. You will expand yourself. End of station, unless you have questions. Rob Ed, will you say a few words for Frank Longwell? They said, give us a moment. Owning that he has stirred much, and could not have considered taking his father in this same manner, kindly and rationally, even a few years ago. He still does not have all of the implications of the resolutions, but they will come to him. It is important that he and Eve not feel martyred, taking in a father, but I believe they both understand their positions there and recognize they are forming their own realities and considering an act of kindness for its own sake. His mother is enjoying being a young girl. That is, she is happily and knowingly hallucinating early girlhood experiences for the sheer joy of the freedom involved. She has made no decisions about rebirth yet, but is enjoying her freedom and keeping an eye out for her husband at the same time, thinking how enjoyable it will be for him to be lithe and free again. The husband does not want it to seem that he is giving up too soon, however, which he seems to think would involve a loss of faith. She is aware of her children, yet likes to appear younger than they are now for her own loving amusement. End of session. Ross said, thank you. They said, and I found good evening. And I repeat, Ruben's body is making considerably more beneficial changes than you personally realize. Ross said good night, says. They said a fond good evening.